Do you remember that old saying about how sticks and stones can break your bones, but names will never hurt you? Did you ever try using that saying when the bully was calling you names maybe, or when the in-group was spreading rumors about you or whatever? Were you like me? Did it always sort of feel like there was something distinctly empty or false in that old adage, that words actually do wield enormous power over us? Interestingly, the Christian scriptures place a huge emphasis on the power of the spoken word. In one place it says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up and bringing grace to those who listen." And in another place, it points out the irony that with the very same tongue we can either praise God or we can curse people who are made in the image of God, with the very same tongue. Now, this reference to the image of God and the power of words is especially fascinating because it takes us back to the book of Genesis and Genesis's account of how God created the world in the beginning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, it says. And God said, "Let there be light." God spoke, and it was so. God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered into one place." And God said, "Let the land produce vegetation." God said, "Let us make human beings in our image and in our likeness," and so on. Now, the distinctive element here is that God created the world by speaking. This stands out especially when you compare Genesis to the other ancient Near Eastern stories about how the world was made. In the Babylonian creation myths, for instance, in the Sumerian account of creation, in all of them, the gods always created the world by fighting with some monster or other. There was a violent battle against chaos, they said, and out of that struggle, the world was created. But in Genesis, there is no violent struggle at all. God simply speaks, and the very power of his words is enough to bring the world into being. He creates by speaking, and then he makes us in his image and likeness. Now, this is fascinating too, because whatever else it means to be made in the image of God, it means to have a role or a responsibility to carry on the work, the creative work that God began in the beginning. Being made in God's image, we are, in some small way, we are agents of his creative work in the world. And when you put one and one together here, God created the world by speaking, and then he makes humans in his image. If that's the case, then it sort of follows that, to a lesser degree, human beings can create worlds by speaking too. Well, anyone who's grown up being told they never amount to anything, anyone who's ever started to believe lies about themselves because others told them it was true, anyone who's ever seen how verbal abuse or rumors or hate speech or criticism can actually create reality for the people who hear it, they'll get this immediately. How our words, as men and women created in the image of God, our words are, in fact, world creating. And so will anyone who's experienced it. How the right word at the right time can open up worlds of new possibilities, new hope, new self-understanding, new truth. Like the proverb says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits.